I understand what you mean, but unfortunately, and it's an unfortunate reality of the world, is that it's player versus player. Like if you go to a video game, if you play Call of Duty, right? There's 20 people in there and we're all trying to kill each other. And the world is very, very similar financially. I'm not saying we should be out here killing each other, but I'm trying to explain that there's a certain amount of resource and everyone's trying to get it. And I understand your perspective, but your perspective is feminine, as it should be because you're a woman, right? But the masculine imperative and the masculine perspective is you have to understand that life is war. It's a war for the female you want.
There's this post I made, I think it was on Twitter, one of my old Twitter accounts, where I said, life is a competition for men. It is for women too, but I was talking about men specifically. And people were dragging me, saying, life is not supposed to be a competition. Just live the way you like, live according to what you can afford. All that is true. That's not what I'm disputing. What I'm trying to say is, even if you decide to check out of the competition, it's kind of like these MGTOW guys that say, well, we're not doing anything with women anymore. They could be on their own. I could be on my own. Because you checked out of the competition doesn't mean the competition isn't going on. When it comes to men, right, there are hierarchies. Some men are better at being men than you are. Because you check out of the competition and say, I'm good, I'm content, that's good for you. But that doesn't stop the competition from going on. Men are generally in competition with themselves, right? In competition to get women and to get resources. That competition is always in existence and in motion. Whether you check out as a man and say, I'm not doing, doesn't stop the competition from going on.
In perspective is you have to understand that life is war. It's a war for the female you want. It's a competition. Every man's trying to get her. It's a war for the car you want. It's a war for the money you want. It's a war for the status. It's a war. Masculine life is war. If you're a man who doesn't view life as war, you're going to lose. So as a man, you have to wake up and think, okay, everything I want, other men want. I have to outcompete every other man to get it. So how am I going to do that? Am I going to do that by living in the moment, ignoring my phone, having a fun picnic?
Do you believe in men's mental health? You are kind of like the problem in society in a sense of fast car, women, lifestyle. No, but it is. This is the problem.
It's not my problem.
I'm not saying it's your problem directly, but I'm saying this is the problem. Yes, all men probably want to aspire for that, but do you see the pressure there is on men?
Completely. It is much harder to be a man than be a woman.
Okay, so what's your thoughts on men's mental health?
I agree. It's much harder to be a man than be a woman, which is basically what you just said. Society's expectations of men is much higher than the societal expectations of females. I agree. Much more is expected of us. I agree. It's a harder game. Just like every other video game on Earth. It's a harder game, but if you complete it, you get a higher score. I think that being a top-tier male is the best human experience that any human can have. I think that being a female would not compare in any way to being a top-level man. No,
reason why. There's experiences, right? Like women, we can literally carry lives inside of us.
I agree with you, and I'm actually glad you chose that experience because that's the most important thing a female can do. And
this girl is actually awesome. Like, all her counterpoints are points that a normal woman would say, like a feminine woman would say. She said a woman can give birth to a child. No man is experiencing that shit. Like there's the type of connection a woman has with her child. The father doesn't have that type of connection. It is just not the same thing. The child grew in you, and you get it is an entirely different experience that men can never relate to. You know, it's insane for real. You're bringing life into the world. Life, that's insane. You know, so my point is I like how her counterpoints are always geared towards things that make a woman special. Because if she said stuff like, well, a woman can make so much money as well, like nobody cares.
I'm glad you chose that experience because that's the most important thing a female can do, and I agree with you, and I understand it's a beautiful thing because there's no society and there's no world without life. I agree with you. However, I think that as a man you can build an empire. There's conquest as a man. And I think as a female, it's not quite the same.
I think that is a male point of view, right? The question you should ask is, do women want to build empires in the first place? Most of them don't want. They want to move into an empire and be the fucking queen. And that's fine. And that's awesome, you know? So like, I don't think you could say, you know, a man who is the most successful, like that's the best human experience. You can't necessarily say that because women most likely don't even want that experience. Like if you leave them to their own vices, that most likely isn't their goal. So you can't necessarily say, well, since you don't do that, you're not, because they don't want to do it in the first place.
Get there. The reality of life for most men is absolutely depressing. I completely understand when you talk about mental health.
So have you suffered with mental health?
Fuck no.
No.
Absolutely not. because I understood that as a man, you must build yourself. As a female, you can be born.
But did you not, like, we need to stop going into philosophies and just stuff, because I'm actually trying to, I want to understand you.
Okay.
Right. So have you not experienced mental health? No.
Zero.
Okay. So how do you cope with stress and situations? Express your emotions when you're frustrated or when you're stressed.
Good question. And if I'm stressed or I'm frustrated, then I understand it's my time to perform. And I agree that society puts huge pressure on men, and it's time for men to perform. As a man, you either perform or you don't. There's no safety net like there is for females. Females can wake up and say, I don't feel like it.
Yeah, but there is for men.
No, there isn't.
But there is.
The men who say, I can't feel like it, cannot compete with the men who do not say that. And it is player versus player. The man who goes to the gym every single day, regardless of how he feels, will always beat the man who goes to the gym when he feels like going to the gym. And it's player versus player. And let me tell you something. As much as you want to sit here and disagree with me, it's women who decide who the winner is. You will choose the man who's in fantastic shape. You'll choose the man with all his money right.
I like a dad bod, personally.
Okay, well, that maybe you're an exception because you're an angel. But in general, we're talking in generalizations, because exceptions do not disprove the rule. Females will choose the man who's in fantastic shape. Females will choose the man who's got his money right. Females will choose the man who can fix any problem. Females will choose the man when they can go to him and say, everything's can you fix this? And he says yes without panicking. That's who women want. Women decide who the winner is. Women don't want the man when you come to him with your problems and he goes, oh, I'm too stressed today. Tell me tomorrow. No. Women don't want that.
But women also don't want a dickhead.
But having your life in order doesn't make you a dickhead.
You can have all those things.
Correct.
But then there's that fine line where your ego gets a bit too much. For example, like, you could be very successful. You can have good-looking women that are attracted to you. You can just have all those qualities. Correct. But then once you possess that, you then suddenly can go past that line, your ego, then you start to become an arsehole.
I agree with you, but I'm not talking about that. I think that's a separate conversation.
No, I'm just saying, no, I agree with everything. That's what I'm saying. Like, for me, I agree with everything you're saying, but what I'm trying to argue is that men get successful, they become even more narcissistic, and they just are not nice people to be around.
You're very, very smart.
Thank you.
You are. But you're doing what most females do, and you're conflating issues. So when you conflate, what you do is you mix two issues together to try and prove your point.
No, I've just been asking you personal questions. Correct. And every time you give me a philosophy around
No, it's not
it.
a philosophy.
No, but I'm saying in general, when I'm asking you, I'm trying to get to know you on a level. How does a woman like me get to know a gentleman like you?
Here at this beautiful, nice, civil dinner we're having here with no animosity at all. You asked me about men's mental health. My answer was explaining that as a man, you don't have the luxury. Oops, I don't feel like it. You can do it.
You can, but I'm sorry, I know I keep cutting you, but I'm just like, because this is the part that gets really frustrating for me. Like, men with this mindset that you have, like, I get it. Okay, great. You are alpha. You've achieved all these things.
It's not about alpha.
No, but I'm saying, like, you possess all these. It's great, but you are the problem. You're creating this pressure on men and society. Like,
no,
it's so
I'm not
competitive.
creating a pressure.
But men can actually, successful men can actually be like, oh, okay, I don't actually feel like it today. Like, they actually can take a break and rest at that wall.
I understand. My point is that it's player versus player, and if you're a man who's going to constantly give in to mental health problems or mental health trouble, you're not going to be able to compete with the men who don't.
Okay, but can we validate men that have...
I already said this in a previous video, but there's a fine line between realizing that you are depressed, right, and looking for depression. There's a fine line between finding out that you're depressed, fixing your situation, and deciding that depression is your character trait. Deciding that you are this anxious, depressed person and there's nothing you can do about it. There's a fine line between those two things. As a person, man or woman, right, there will be times in life when cumulative sad events cause you to be depressed. It's like, it happens. And, you know, it's very painful. And it is also harder to overcome for some people than others, right? It is a real thing. But the last thing you should ever do is make depression who you are, right? Depression is a phase. And this phase can last for years. I don't care how long it lasts. But depression is only a phase. It is not it's like, it is not a lifestyle. Do you understand? It is not who you are as a person. It is a phase. The phase could be a month, it could be a week, it could be a year. But it is a phase that should pass. Once you have this at the back of your mind, right? That is the only way you can beat depression, right? If you make depression a part of who you are, like maybe put it in your Twitter bio, for example, you're making it a character trait to make yourself stand out. You're not trying to fix that problem.
Okay, but can we validate men that have...
Completely. If you have mental health...
So we can't go player. Just validate men that have mental health issues.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Men who have mental health issues, I wish them the best in the world.
Okay, great.
But when they come to me and say, and I get this all the time, Andrew, I have this problem, I'm depressed and I can't go to the gym. I say, no, I disagree. You're depressed because you don't go to the gym. If you go to the gym, you might start to feel better, right? I'm saying you can't sit as a man and afford the luxury of saying, I have a mental health issue today, I'm sad today, I'm stressed today, I'm emotional today, I can't work, because you will lose against the men who don't do that. And the male world is more competitive than you could possibly imagine. And it's the women who pick the winners. So I find it very interesting that a woman sits here to me and says, no, men are allowed to sit around and do fuck all and feel sad. And those are the men they ignore when they DM.
No.
Those are the men they ignore them all.
No, actually, can I just chime in here? So, for example, everything you've said, you've possessed, you've proved your point, right? But as a high-value woman, if I respect and love my partner, I'm not putting that pressure. I would say, babe, you know what? You can have a little rest. Like, there are women that actually enable men to process that emotion.
Agreed.
But yeah, so we'll still go back to tomorrow. Okay.
Agreed.
Let's go back to work. But there are good women out there that don't put that pressure. I feel like your reality on women is warped because of a certain caliber of women. Yes, it is.
I agree. You're right.
Oh God. She's talking about an already established. He's saying, right, that a man who is more emotionally stable and who can do stuff regardless of how he feels, who is going to say, you know what, I'm sad today, but I'm still going to do what I have to do, is going to be like miles ahead of a man who succumbs to his emotions. It has absolutely nothing to do with women. It has nothing to do with them.
But you're missing a very vital point of that story. You're right. But as a high-value woman, before you say to that man, you can have a day off and you're allowed to be sad today, you will only even get with him. Let me change that. You will only even acknowledge he exists if he's ignored how he feels 99% of the time before that. Because if he was sad most of the time before that, he never would have got to a place where he could attract a woman like you. The man who works in Starbucks, who's sad all the time, you won't reply to him. Neither will any other female. So for women to come along and pretend they give a fuck about the fact that most men are basically invisible. There is not a female on the planet who's invisible today. You can be a 4, overweight, fat, you'll still go to the club and get attention. 99% of the men go to the club and nobody even fucking talks to them. If they try and talk to a girl, they get blanked and ignored and told to Most men are absolutely and utterly invisible. This is the truth about masculinity, right? It's very easy for women to sit here and complain about the top 2% of men because I dealt with this guy, he's arrogant, blah, 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 blah. Most men don't even fucking exist. They send 10,000 DMs and never even get read, let alone replied to. So if you just sit here and say, I'll get a G, a big G, a boss, a millionaire, and let him have a day off, very nice of you. I'm sure you would. Yeah. But if a guy who wanted to have days off all the time, he never would have got important enough in the first place to attract a woman like you. And that is the reality. As a man, it's player versus player. It's ultimately competitive. And as a man, you have to outcompete the other men who are prepared to get up and do it anyway.
Okay. What would you do if I wanted to start an OnlyFans?
I don't think there's anything intrinsically wrong with women doing OnlyFans. As long as I had influence and control over it.
What do you mean? Doing a video photographer and get the angles, yeah?
No. I'm not doing any real work, but just like taking all the money. If my chick said, I want to do OnlyFans, I'm like, all right, then cool, go do it. How much you made? 10 grand, all right, give me 8. All right, cool. All right.
What woman is going to give you 8 grand?
Because you're my woman, you're doing OnlyFans, you're selling my product, what the fuck?
Your product?
Yes, correct. Next question.
No. Products. Like, do you own me? No, sorry, like, your ego is a bit too big. You don't own me, I'm not a product, I'm not an object, okay?
Tate is so good at instigate. Dude, like, when he says this stuff, I bet that he's laughing in his mind. He's gaggling. Oh my God. You could expect her reaction from him right away. And I bet he expected it too. Man, it's so easy to trigger people nowadays.
I'm not an object. Okay, Mr. Tate?
I'm just answering it.
I don't know if you're being serious.
I'm totally serious. How would I let my chick do OnlyFans and keep all the money? That's disrespectful.
What woman is ever going to give you that?
Then she better not do OnlyFans. Duh.
Do you see how he got to the conclusion? Instead of saying, oh my God, no, she's not going to. He said, fine, do it. But like, you're giving me 80% because you're selling what belongs to me. And she's like, no, it's so easy. It's so easy. Sometimes it's boring.
Oh my God.
That upset her, didn't it? It upset her to say that you're mine, and if you're mine and men want to pay for it, then the money is mine. But that's the basic dynamic of a relationship. You're mine. So if you want to sell what is mine, that's fine, but I need to get paid.
What if I earned more money than you?
Impossible.
You never know.
No, impossible.
Really?
Literally impossible.
Is it impossible?
Literally impossible. Numbers don't go that high.
He said numbers don't go that high. Now, obviously, there are so many women who are way richer than Tate. Like, you get what that answer is. You know, like, never was what. It's two things. She could either have said, well, I wouldn't date a girl like that. and then she would say, well, you're insecure, right? Or he would say, well, it's fine, it doesn't matter, her money doesn't matter, and that would be him buying into the equalist agenda. So that was the perfect answer. Like, you can't make more money than me, that's not possible. Now it is possible, but in conversations with girls, know when to deflect, know when to reduce the tension by making a joke. So like, that's what he did.
What would you do if I didn't like your lifestyle?
What aspect of my lifestyle?
Maybe it was too flashy for me, flying around too much. Maybe I just want you to just slow down. It's a bit too fast paced.
I understand. And I would respect the point of view.
So what are you doing?
I don't think I'd listen. My lifestyle got me to where I am, and I'm a sovereign individual who lives in the way he believes true. I would listen and I would understand it and I would do my best to accommodate, but I don't think I would change. If you were to say, look, you can't do this anymore, I'd say, oh, I'm gonna do it anyway, sorry. Yeah, I'll try and make you feel better about it, but it's gonna happen.
What if your family didn't like me?
That's no big deal.
Not a big deal?
Yeah. The only person I'm super close with is my brother.
Okay.
And my brother wouldn't dislike you unless he had a reason, like a genuine reason. And if he disliked you, I'd dislike you, so then the game over anyway. Not because he disliked you, but because we have the same standards of life. There's no way he could dislike you without me disliking you.
So there's literally like two of you that have these mad views.
My views are not mad. What have I said so far? What have I said so far? Women shouldn't be hoes. Man should have some authority because he should take care of his chick. Chicks shouldn't fucking talk to a bunch of dudes.
Why are you shouting?
It's important for the mic.
No, it's not, because Joe what they say.
And that's it. That's all I've said. And you're saying I got crazy views.
But don't they say like the loudest person in the room is the weakest?
Oh, my weak now.
No, but I'm just saying, don't people say that?
Let's have an arm wrestle.
I'm not doing an arm wrestle.
Come on, I want to see it. Come on.
No.
You look strong.
Look, I'm a nice feminine lady
You
that
do
doesn't
arm
like to
wrestles.
do these activities, okay? What would you do if I wanted to invite other people into our sex life?
Well, obviously, I'm going to ask if it's boys or girls. But even then, even if it was girls, it'd be weird. I think it'd be a bit strange. If I had a girlfriend and she said, I really want you to fuck this chick, I'd be like, this is not the normal feminine mindset. You must not like me. And it would just seem odd to me. Something would be up.
I'm really surprised by that answer. I don't know why. I feel like you'd be the type of person that would want loads of threesomes and stuff and feel like, yes, this lifestyle, I'm the man. What would you do if I was going on girls' holidays every other month?
I'd have to shut that down. I think it's disrespectful.
Do you go on a lot of holidays?
I can do whatever I want.
We're not actually going to go there with this bullshit.
What do you mean bullshit?
Double standard shit. This man has so many double standards, like it actually doesn't make sense. I think he honestly believes like his own rubbish.
It's not double standards.
Yes, it is.
There's different standards.
But I'm saying, but if you're out every month doing this, doing that,
Correct.
I'm going to do the same to keep myself entertained and occupied.
No.
Yes, what you think I'm going to wait at home for you?
Yes.
And just wait there and look like an idiot, then probably see you
You don't
upload on
look
Instagram, here's this lifestyle, and see you with loads
You
of
don't
women
look like an
around
idiot.
you.
You look like a loyal woman, as you should. There's no way I would allow there's no way I would allow you to go on all these girls' holidays. That's very disrespectful. I'm a territorial man. That does not mean jealous or insecure. It means I care about you. Anything I care about, I want to protect and love. It doesn't matter how much you love me back. It doesn't matter if no man on earth could talk you into bed. It's not about that. It's about the disrespect.
So it's okay for you to disrespect me.
It's not disrespectful for me to go on holidays or go work with my boys.
What if my holidays are work trips?
No, they're not. That's impossible. You're not running the world like I am. That's bullshit.
How do you know?
I know these things. Don't lie to me.
This is what I'm saying, but you wouldn't.
Don't lie to me. It's absolutely disrespectful for a woman to be with a man and then want to run around with her girls and pretend she's still single. She shouldn't even want to. The fact she even asked to go in and of itself is disrespectful. I shouldn't have to tell her not to do that.
Listen, I will call all of my girls and go on a girls' holiday just to piss you off, mate.
The truth is, as a husband in a marriage, you're going to have a very tangible amount of authority over your wife. That's the reality. But at the same time, this authority, right, varies from man to man in the sense that some men are generally going to have more authority over women than other men. I am saying this because in as much as Andrew Tate gives amazing advice for men, there are some types of advice that he gives that only applies to a certain caliber of men. For example, if a Nigerian man who is earning just 150k a month, right, gets married to a woman who's earning about the same thing, let's say 140k a month, and they both put their income together to take care of the family, right? If he tells his wife, don't go on girl trips, he's well within his rights to do that. But if he then does the exact same thing, goes on guys trips that have nothing to do with business and just like neglects the family to go on these trips, the woman as well has the authority to tell him not to do that. Because in the large scale of things, they are both contributing almost equally to the family. If the man refuses to hear what she's saying and he travels, the consequence is he's going to get disrespected by this woman. She can choose to go on her own girl's trip. She's going to insult him basically, right? because she feels like she is equal with that man in the relationship. And you can't fault her for thinking that, because if a woman is going to go through the stress of giving birth to a child, nurturing the child, and still working for almost the exact same amount of income that you're bringing to the family, then she has to have some form of authority as well. Do you understand? She's doing everything you're doing, but then she's also giving birth to children and taking care of them. Do you see how subconsciously she's going to want some form of authority? Like, what am I? Am I a slave? Do you get? That is just the truth. If you look at like 50, 100 years ago, women were not working. They were doing only domestic work. And a man would go out there, hustle, and bring money into the family. In situations like that, you would see the woman being 100% submissive to him. Do you get? But in present times, when women can work as much as men and probably make as much as them, you cannot fault them. Do you understand? For wanting almost, even though it won't be equal form of authority, they are going to have a say. Do you understand? If not, it becomes slavery at that point. Let me give you guys a pro tip. If you go on a date with a girl, let's say the first date or the first few dates, right? And she begins to talk about how, if I get married or if I'm dating a guy, if I'm cooking him too, he must cook. I'm not a slave. Or if I cook today, he'll cook tomorrow. That kind of thing. If that is all she's talking about the entire time, what impression are you going to have of her? You assume that this girl is too masculine, and aggressive, and I beg. You would be turned off. That is the exact same way a woman would feel uncomfortable if you guys go on a first date, right? And all you're talking about is male and female dynamics and female nature, and a woman should do this and a man should do that. In as much as you have the best interest of her in mind, in the sense that you actually want a healthy male and female relationship, the fact that that is all you're talking about during the date gives her a bad impression. She feels like, now wow, this one go one day control me. Do you understand? There are certain topics that you shouldn't dive into. It should be fun. It should be cool, especially when it's the first few dates, right? As a man, your understanding of female nature is not something you want to be broadcasting. Yes, I broadcast it and a lot of other guys do, but it is because they want to teach other guys. It is not for you to preach to your girlfriend. Be about what you know. Don't talk about it. Let your actions do the talking.